In today's video, I'm going to be walking around Midtown Manhattan and talking about this little point and shoot. Half camera review, half street photography POV. Today's video is trying something a little new. I'll show you photos throughout this video taken with the Yes Star camera, as well as video clips from my walk through Greenwich Village, NoHo, and Soho. Maybe not in that order. And I'll share a few of my insights on this camera and my experience using it to document my journey throughout the Big Apple. Honestly, I did have my struggles with this thing. We have a bit of a love-hate relationship going on, and I'm going to tell you all about that. But I think I got some great results nonetheless. If you've never heard of the Yes Star S1, that's because it's actually not available on the North American market yet. It was sent to me by the Yes Star team, along with a roll of film to test out. And a fun fact, Yes Star is actually the company that manufactures some Fujifilm products sold in China. So a lot of dental and medical films are manufactured by them, as well as Fujifilm C200 and C400. So the roll of film that they sent me is very likely Fuji related. And that could be very exciting for those of us over here in North America who don't usually have access to Fujifilm products not produced by Kodak. So of course that first roll was in color, and I'm going to show you the best photos from that at the end. But for this walk, I wanted to use black and white because I honestly prefer black and white for street photography. I like the contrast. Okay, I don't want to interrupt myself, but look, I saw the new Sex and the City being filmed. You can't really tell from this photo, but it was very fancy. So the photos you're seeing now are captured on Kentmere 400. And as with most point and shoots, you're gonna want to shoot a film that is at least 400 ISO. It has a 31mm lens and it's locked at f11. f11 is very dark. Everything is gonna be in focus, but very dark. And if you're shooting with a film that is below 400 ISO, I wish you the best. You're gonna want to use flash for pretty much all of the images, but luckily the built-in flash does seem to be pretty strong. It's powered by a single AA battery, and it's got this little tassel that helps you remove the battery. That's fun. I knew on sight, seeing the f11 on the front of the lens, that this would be a full sun camera, and luckily the New York weather obliged. This has all of the trappings of a fun street photography point and shoot. Good flash, crossbody strap, stylish finish, but there is one key feature that I'm not a huge fan of, and that is that this thing loads film backwards. It is modeled after disposable cameras, which come preloaded with the film already out of the canister and wrapped around the spool. So as you take the picture, instead of advancing the film, you're de-advancing it. You're rolling it back into the canister, so by the time you're done the roll, you can just open the back and pop the film out without having to rewind. This makes sense for disposable cameras because you're not expected to reload them, even though you can. So the reloading process doesn't have to be easy. And trust me, it is not. One thing about this is that it came preloaded with a roll of film already wrapped around the spool. So when I opened the back after receiving the camera, I immediately burnt an entire roll of film. Okay, so not off to a great start. Luckily this camera came with 2 rolls, so dejected, I rewound the first roll and loaded the second roll, wound for a bit, only to realize that nothing was happening. I was just winding it and winding it and winding it. So I put the camera into a dark bag and opened up the back and felt around and realized that it hadn't been gripping the spool. So I realigned it, closed the back, rewound it for a while, kept winding, oh my god, opened the back, felt around, okay, well it's about 10 frames deep now, close it up. It was quite a process, especially when you can't see what's going on and you have no idea what's going wrong. It reminds me actually of the Lomography reusable disposable cameras, which I bought one of these a while back with the intention of reviewing it for a video. I shot the first roll that it came preloaded with, but when it came time to load a second roll, I couldn't do it. I wound up burning through half of 2 different rolls, trying it out. I didn't have a dark bag at that point and I was being dumb, but I got frustrated with it and I never used it again. This camera has a very similar problem. Luckily I'm a bit more experienced with film now than I was back when I was trying out the Lomography reusable disposable. So I was able to shoot a few rolls with this and get it to load and all of that, but honestly, it's intended for entry-level users, it's marketed as being easy to use, and yet out of the hundreds of rolls of film I've shot on dozens of different cameras, this was among the most technically challenging to load. So a word to the wise, experienced film users only. At one point, I did have to change the film while out and about, and I didn't have my dark bag, and I wound up burning about 10 frames and light leaking a whole bunch more, so y'all are lucky that I like light leaks. Overall though, I was slightly miffed at this camera. That's why I say we have a love-hate relationship, because it's very cute, I love the way it looks, I love how it fits in my hand, but oh my god is it finicky. I did have one guy ask me if it was a Leica though, so I told him it was, and he gave me the photographer nod, And I couldn't in good conscience let him go on thinking it was a Leica, so I had to tell him the truth that I'd left my Leica collection at home. To be fair, this camera does get some points for style. It's got a metal body, I think it's some kind of aluminum, and that is a step up in terms of durability from the plastic bodies of comparable point and shoots. It also came with this little sticker thing, which I put on the flash button for flair and pizzazz. Overall, my favorite shots that I took with this were the wide shots. I've got some of the streets, reflective windows, and tall buildings. And I also did a series of street portraits where I would stop people and ask for pictures of their outfits. And during this session, I only stopped people who were wearing black and white outfits. So don't worry, you're not missing out on any of the colors here. You should have seen me out there actually on the day that this was filmed. My bag was like 30 pounds because I was carrying around 5 different cameras. I had lugged 6 cameras to New York, and I'll be damned if I'm not gonna take a picture with every single one of them. If I saw something really worth photographing, I would stand there cycling through 5 different cameras and then taking a video clip of it on my phone. It was one of those moments where I could like almost hear people looking at me thinking, this is a dumb bitch. But the cameras that I had my Yes Star S1 for this video, and then I had my Flick Film double shot for next week's video, and then I had my nice Nikon F801S for high quality street photography, and my Yashica for even higher quality street photography, and of course my Instax, just in case. And not to mention all of the Leicas that I left at home, you know. I just have too many of them to take with me these days. At one point when I was standing there beginning my camera cycle, I heard someone shout, "Girl from Canada who shoots film." And I turned around and it was a viewer, somebody who watches my YouTube channel. So you know, your girl's getting recognized in New York City. Yeah, no big deal. Also, my friend was there, and so she got to like turn to me and be like, "Whoa, does that happen to you very often?" As though it had happened more than once. Also, yeah, shout out to Mia. You can see her arm and shoulder in a lot of these video clips, and that's because we went on like a joint shopping and street photography adventure that day. She walked around with me for like 6 hours, and I got this sick jacket. Anyway, sorry I'm rambling. That is all for today's video. I know it was a bit of a short one. I am honestly feeling very exhausted after the trip, and then all the catch-up work, and more work, and additional work after that. So I had exactly enough stamina for this length of video, so this is what you get. If you liked this video, you can leave a like on the video. You can also leave a comment letting me know what you think. If you get a kick out of these little point and shoots like I do, or if you have an interesting one to recommend that I try out, I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Also, let me know what you think of this half review, half street photography POV style video. I'm a bit of an innovator here when it comes to video content. You know, I'm a bit of a trailblazer, an entrepreneur, really. And I'm keen to hear your feedback. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you next week with a new video in which I will develop my own film for the first time using the latest and greatest from Flick Film. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, I want you all to stay sharp and don't forget to keep shooting. Bye, guys.